Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam, Trilokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vedyadravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Yatha sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stithani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So if I remember, I think we start a new chapter this evening. Are you guys online?
Yeah, chapter 20.
Let me see if I can get this box to go away just a minute.
I'm here too. Sorry, I was just on mute.
Am I still?
Yeah, you're still
I can
there.
hear you. Yeah, you're still here.
Chapter 20. Can you help us out, please, Ganesh?
What's the page number, Mark?
204.
Okay. Vimshah Sarga, chapter 20. Chidatma Bhavana, contemplation of the self that is pure consciousness. Brahma Karan, the cause of delusion. Vasishtha said, Dikkaladhyana Pachinnam Shantam Chinmatram Akshayam Brahmaivahamiti Sthitva Mauni Swatma Sukho Bhava. I am only Brahman, or the Supreme Spirit, not divided by space-time and the like, tranquil, pure consciousness only, and imperishable. Thus remaining in meditation, be silent, happy in your own self.
Yes. So here he starts with the highest absolute. What is it we are to remember? I am Brahman. I am pure consciousness. Chidananda Rupaham. I'm of the form of bliss consciousness. My nature is peace, tranquility. Meditate on that. Keep the mind turned inward. Let go of our obsession with the world of name and form. Not just meditation in our meditation seat. That's important. That's necessary. That's valuable. But meditation in action as well. In some of the Zen traditions, when you do what they call a sesshin, a meditation retreat, You'll meditate for like 40, 50 minutes, something like that. And then you walk for 10 minutes, very slowly in a circle. And you return to your meditation seat, sit again. So it's this cycle of sitting and walking. Part of what it endeavors to do is to show us through direct experience that you can walk, you can see phenomena, and still keep the mind in meditation. Any thoughts on this?
I did that at the Zen temple up in Portland in 2009, I believe, or 8 or 9, somewhere around there. But yeah, they definitely showed that at the Zen temple. Yeah.
Well, my invitation, not just to you, Justin, but to all of us, try practicing it. Do something like walk through the park or just around the streets of San Francisco or Vancouver. And try just keeping your mind intensely introverted. Don't let it get
Introverted?
caught up in stories.
Okay.
Any questions from you guys?
No, I was just thinking I wish they had something like that in Vipassana. Because I feel like every time I would get out of the meditation room, I would like treat it as, I didn't even think about this at the time, but I was like treating it like a break from meditation, and I would like think about all sorts of things and then go back in. Yeah, that's funny.
But so we want to be able to have meditation in action. In the end, so there's no inside, no outside. Was there a question on Zoom?
I just feel like I get more aware when I meditate, though, you know, like about the surroundings around me as well. Should I not do that? Or I don't know, but
what you want to refrain from is not being present where you are and going into stories, regret for the past, you know, projections into the future, fantasizing about certain things.
okay, my apologies. Thank you.
Nothing, Justin, another just reminder and an invitation. You never need to apologize. There's nothing wrong with you. Your questions are good questions. All right, next verse.
Ajnana kalana yavat brahma bhavana yavadastha jagat drishye yavat cha satyata dehe yavat aham bhava tavat chittadi kalpana. As long as there is the assumption of spiritual ignorance, as long as there is the idea that one is not Brahman or the Supreme Spirit, as long as there is regard or care for the web or illusion of the world, as long as there is the idea of reality in the seen or the visible object, and as long as there is a sense of I in the body, so long there is the imagination or idea of the mind and the like.
Yes. So remember, bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. So now Vasishtha here is describing the mind under the influence of spiritual ignorance. So spiritual ignorance, there's twofold process. First, veiling power, Varana Shakti. And remember, you never see that come upon you. It's like you never see the beginning of a dream. Then comes Vikshepa Shakti, projecting power. And these are the things, this list, the things the mind projects that are illusory. So let's break them down. What's the first idea, Ganesh?
As long as there is the assumption of spiritual ignorance.
Yes. Meaning I do not know who I am. Which is the weirdest thing in the world, because nobody lacks this direct experience. When are you ever not you? Oh, Jim, I lost the self. I was aware of the self, but somehow I've lost it. What, you're a toad now? You're not you? It's yourself. When do you ever lose yourself? But such is the power of Maya. Next idea.
As long as there is the idea that one is not Brahman or the Supreme Spirit.
So what is the nature of that ignorance? In my mind, I do not know that I am Brahman. I think I am something other than that. Varana Shakti, that ignorance, then Vikshepa Shakti, I start projecting superimpositions upon the self. Let's see what they are. Next one.
As long as there is regard or care for the web or illusion of the world.
Does he use Jagat Jala? Is that the word he's used?
Yeah.
Yes, one of my favorite expressions. Jala is a web, like the spider web. So the web of the world. Why do we call it? If you've ever seen a spider, it spins this incredible complex structure of its spider web. And then what happens when a bug comes along? It's sticky and it gets stuck. So the Jagat Jala, the web of the world. And if I'm in ignorance, I can't dance along the web like the spider. I'm like a bug that gets caught egoistically in the web of this world. What's the cause of that? Remember, our superimposition is twofold. Shankara calls this anyonya adhyasa, mutual superimposition. The first superimposition I attribute to the self the qualities of the not-self, meaning I think I'm my body. I think I'm my feelings. I think I'm my stories. I think I'm my thoughts. No. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The other projection is I externalize the nature of the self onto the phenomenal world. Meaning, Alan has Sat existence over there. Chit, you are a conscious sentient being and your consciousness is separate from mine. And I don't particularly like it. Now on the other hand, you make me so very happy. Happiness is over there. That's what we do. Then what does that cause us to do? Get out your tennis shoes because you got to go chase it. That's when I attribute to the phenomena, which is fundamentally mithya, illusory, vaitatya, false, pratibimba, like the reflections of a mirror, substantive, concrete reality, separate from me, that's joy-giving and misery-producing. That's the Jagat Jala, the web of the world. in which I get caught. Now, one of the reasons I just love this metaphor, most of us are willing as yogis to do our best to renounce the things that cause us to suffer. Few of us, though, are willing to renounce our attachment to the things that bring us joy. So, for example, let's say I have Lokavasana. Loka means world or people. This means I'm concentrated on what other people think of me. So someone comes along and says, "Oh, Jim, you're so wonderful. You're nice. You're kind. And you're wise. You're so insightful." And if I go, "Oh, you think so? Oh, I didn't hear you say it again, please. Oh, I'm already lost. Sticky." Because the next person who comes along is going to say, "What a jerk. You're so stupid. How could you say something like that?" Ah! And I get all upset and I can't let go, just like the bug in the web, because I'm already attached. One of the hardest practices is when praise, when enjoyment, when success comes our way, let it pass through. Don't let it land. One of the easiest ways to do that, give it all to God. People will say, "Oh, Jim, oh, I loved your satsang. Oh, I got so much out of it." You've seen me do this how many times? All Swamiji's grace. I don't ever believe a word of it. That's the practice. Don't let any of it land. Pass through. That's how we can dance on the web of the world rather than getting sticky, stuck. It's wonderful, wonderful image. Next idea.
As long as there is the idea of reality in the seen or the visible object.
Yes, so we've talked about that. Now we have these two statements in scripture which seem contradictory. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya and Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. The first one, Brahman alone is real, the phenomenal world is illusory. But the second one is, all this, meaning the phenomenal world, is verily Brahman. How do we reconcile it? Well, make up your mind. Either the world doesn't exist and it's an illusion, or the world is all God. Tell me which one. Yes, both are true. And the way to understand that is go to the dream state. You are the God of your dream. So if you dream you're in the golden coach, the state coach of England, being drawn by 8 white horses, and there's coachmen in the back and stuff like that. You dream they've discovered you're really the King of England or the Queen of England. No, you're just an ordinary dude or gal in your bed. Was the coach and the horses and the footman, was it illusion or was it real? Well, it was certainly not real in the sense that it had substantive existence. But what was the material cause of the coach and the horses? The stuff of my mind. It was my imagination. It was the mind itself that appeared as the coach and the horses and the footmen. So also, this phenomenal world is like a dream. Question is, who's doing the dreaming? You as an ego are not doing the dreaming. It's Ishvara. It's the Lord. It's very vivid and it's very long. But you and I can wake up from the dream. How do we do this? Start by taking on the idea, practice the idea. All this is like a dream. It's a hologram. It's word that the ancients used was lila, like a dramatic play. It's not real. Not real. That helps us to detach so we don't take the world quite so seriously. Any thoughts about this? Next idea.
As long as there's a sense of I in the body.
Yes. So that's the first idea that arises. First comes the ignorance, the avarana shakti, then the vikshepa shakti. I like the frame the Buddhists use. They use the term dependent origination. So the individual, me, identified with the body, the individual knower of the world and the world as real, arise at the same time. So it seems like I, Jim, am here in this body, peeping out of my senses, looking at a concrete world separate from me. But you have exactly the same experience in a dream. When you dream, you have a dream body, and you have a locus of perception in the dream body. You peep out of the senses from the dream body. You have a dream ego identified with that dream body. But as vivid as that experience is, it's created by the mind. And you prove it when you wake up. This is no different. Next idea.
That was the last one.
All right. Next verse.
Bhogeshvanastha chittasya shitalamala nirvritehe chinna shapa shajalasya kshiyate chitta vibhramaha. To one whose mind is indifferent to enjoyments, who has satisfaction which is cool and stainless, and whose snare consisting of chains of hopes have been cut, the delusion of the mind is destroyed.
So the delusion of the mind, the hooks, the chain of hooks that keeps us in the world, that leads us around by the nose. We cut asunder two things. Yoga Sutra says, abhyasa Vairagya Cha. Practice of meditation and renunciation. Or Gita says, when a person casts off all the desires of the mind, Vairagya, and is satisfied in the self by the self, then they're said to be a person of steady wisdom. Question? Oh no, that was my computer talking. Okay. Next one.
Antarmukhataya sarvam chidvahno trijagattrinam juhvatontarnivartante mune chittadi vibhramaha. Sorry. Mune chittadi vibhramaha chittam yanagina dagdham na bhuyah parirohati. To the sage who is offering his oblation, all the straw in the form of three worlds, in the fire of consciousness inwardly, the delusions of the mind and the like turn away from within. The mind burnt by the fire of knowledge does not spring up again.
Yes. So here the metaphor is the ritual sacrifice, the yajna, where the priest builds the fire and then offers into the fire the various oblations, you see. And he's kind of riffing on a metaphor that shows up actually in Kathopanishad and in Gita. So for the person of steady wisdom, all the sense data comes in and is burnt by the fire of knowledge. Knowledge that these people, places, things, and conditions have no inherent value, positive or negative, other than what I give. If I get caught up in the jagat jala, the web of the world, I think it's out there. That idea or object or person makes me happy, and that one makes me unhappy. Here he's saying for the person of steady wisdom, whose mind is shitala, cool. Let it go. Just watch the world go by. Stay cool. It's a practice until knowledge dawns on the mind and we're rooted. Any thoughts? Next one.
Sarveshamapi jivanam sthitay vaisha chidavyaya kintvabodha vashadasya sarve kripanatam gataha. This immutable or imperishable consciousness is verily existing in all beings, in all living beings. But on account of ignorance of this consciousness, all have fallen into wretchedness.
Yes. So when you realize the self in you, you immediately realize the self in everybody. In other words, if as the result of my practice, I realize I am that partless Brahman, I then don't turn around and look at Alan and say, yeah, but he's a tomato inside. No. Let me illustrate this. I see the room from my viewpoint. You all see your room from your viewpoint. I'm aware of my body. You are aware of your body. I'm aware of my thoughts and feelings. You are aware of your thoughts and feelings. But if you look behind your eyes and notice the knower, Chidakasha, space, pure awareness. Such the witness of it all. Now that Chidakasha, that space of awareness in me, is not like the self in you. It is the self in you. It's the ground of being of every sentient being. It's actually the ground of being of everything, sentient and insentient. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Oh, I was sorry. I've been noticing one of the things I'm really trying to focus on is that you spot it, you got it kind of thing. You know, it's like how hypocritical I am really towards everyone that I'm judging. It's been it's just, I see so much of myself in every issue that I have with another person's character defects, basically.
Well, what you're seeing, Justin, is the great similarity in the human mind.
Yes, yes.
We are so much more alike than we are different.
I agree. And that's what I've really been noticing is how hypocritical I am, really. But yeah.
Well, try not to put the sting of judgment on it. Just understand that you're a judgmental man. Gee, guess what? Everybody else is too.
Yeah, yes.
So the fundamental idea is don't believe your mind.
Yeah.
Don't take it seriously. I heard something, I was up all night watching the Queen of England's funeral. And people were giving anecdotes. And one of them said that when you're a royal, you can't ever show that you're tired. And you have to let everybody think that you like every hospital. Because guess what they have to do all the time?
Yeah.
Just stand there and wait while all sorts of people do all sorts of things. And go to hospital after hospital after hospital to see people who are ill or wounded or anything. Just a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
But this incredible sense of acceptance. One of the things that people have said all week long about the Queen, she had this incredible ability to make you feel so comfortable. So there's all this royal protocol of, don't touch the Queen, don't walk in front of her, da, 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 da. And what all these people were saying is she found all that rather funny. She never took it really seriously. It was a job. It's just a job. She liked horses because a horse doesn't care whether you have a title or whether you're a commoner. They only know if you're nice to them. one of the reasons she loved animals. So my point here is, if we can begin to just see this incredible commonality of the human family, as well as understanding that when you look into someone's eyes, the being looking out is God. That's who you're talking to. Wonderful quality. Wonderful quality. To endeavor to love as God loves. I like to say God has no taste. God loves people you and I would have nothing to do with. So we have to learn to drop our judgments. Be present. I'm gonna go turn off the sound on my computer because it's doing something. I'll be right back. I usually do that before class, and I thought. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? Next verse.
Ajnanam apadam nishtha kahi napajanatah viyam samsara saranihi bahatyajna pramadatah. Ignorance is the basis of calamities. What indeed is not a misfortune to one who does not understand. This course of worldly existence flows on account of the inattention or insanity of the ignorant.
Yes. Very interesting. Reality is, it is clear if we look. Anyone who quietens the mind enough and has this radical reversal of the attentive faculty and seriously inquires, who am I? You'll find out. Doesn't take a high IQ. You don't have to speak Sanskrit. You don't have to be in the Himalayas. But if we're inattentive and we can't see what's really going on, then the calamities, which are the result of ignorance, begin. I think I'm a person and I got issues. And the world is problematic. They have issues. Let's do battle. Any thoughts? Next one.
Samvedyena param drishtam shantam sarvatmakam chayat tat satchida bhasamayam astiha karanojhitam. There exists here that reality which consists of the light of being consciousness, abandoned by knowing, untouched by the known. tranquil, and of the nature of the whole. Note that reality is destitute of the process of knowing, which is of the mind, absolutely free from the known, and is undivided being consciousness.
So it functions through the equipment, the subtle intellect, and lights up the phenomenal world. But in itself, it only knows itself. I am self-evident. But there is nothing there. It is vast and empty like the sky. It is completely independent from the known. It's another dimension. It is outside of time and space, yet immanent, completely here, pervading everything. What's the practice that's implied as you go through your day? Try to remember to stop and keep checking out. Have you changed? Go looking for the ego. You go looking for Jim. Jim falls, and what you find is Chid Akasha, the space of awareness. And whether the situation is conducive or non-conducive, that space never changes. What do you worry about? Such is the power of spiritual ignorance, we can forget again and again. The veil of ignorance comes down. And Jiva Bhavana, I think I'm a person. The world feels separate and concrete. And I have serious business, kartavya, obligatory actions. Any thoughts on this? So what the verse is implying is a meditation in action. We were talking about at the beginning of class. You can start by just walking, trying to stay in meditation. But then the next step is whatever sensory data comes at you, let it pass through. Let it pass through. Shankara says, like a wicker basket, you pour water into it. Doesn't mean to avoid the sensory data. We can't. Just don't take it seriously. And if you continue to keep checking out yourself, you will then develop the conviction. There's nothing ever to worry about. It's all going to be okay. And the world's going to keep on changing. That's what it does. Never touches. Don't believe me. You find out. Next verse.
Avidya vibhaga, the division of spiritual ignorance. Samudeti swatas tasmad kala kalana rupini sukshma madhya tatha sthula chetisa kalpyate tridha. There rises by itself from that being consciousness a small part of the nature of knowing, that is produced or arranged in three ways: the subtle, the middling, and so also the gross.
Read it again a little more slowly. I didn't quite catch it all.
There rises by itself from that being consciousness a small part of the nature of knowing, that is produced in three ways: the subtle, the middling, and so also the gross.
Yes. So what the implication is, here he's going to do some division into the kinds of ignorance that is produced. But the universe is, as it were, self-arising out of the self. One of the great questions is, where is the locus of Maya? Many people think, oh, Maya's in the mind. That's where my ignorance is. Actually, no. Let's define Maya as the term we use to describe how the impossible seems possible. How is it that consciousness, which is vijnana ghanam, a homogeneous mass of consciousness, kutusta, which is still, it never moves, seems to form into subject, object? Nobody knows. And the human mind and body and the prana and the phenomenal world are the result of Maya. So we tend to use the term Maya for this phenomenon. And by the way, when the Lord creates beings in this phenomenal world, which arise like characters in the dream, just like when you dream. In the dream state, the dreamer does not know that she's dreaming. Sometimes you do, but most of the times it seems really real. It's mini Maya. So also you and I, in the dream state of egoism, I think I'm a person. That's the result of Maya. We tend to use the word avidya for our personal ignorance. So if you get realized, that doesn't mean all the galaxies are going to disappear. But for you, all the galaxies disappear. See it as Leela, play. The person sitting next to you is going to see something very different. All right, let's see what this gross, middling, and subtle are about. Going on.
Jim, I have a quick question.
Please.
I feel like I've seen artistic renditions or personifications of Maya where it's like an army or something that's like attacking the meditator. And I'd always interpreted it as being like, I don't know, like a word for all the distractions that we experience when we're trying to meditate. Is
No.
that it? Okay.
Well, that's maybe a Buddhist understanding of it.
Yeah, it was for the start. I was
Yeah.
thinking.
But Maya is the inherent power of consciousness by which the whole phenomenal world comes about. We get all sorts of wonderful imagery in Hinduism. So Shiva is ever wedded to his Shakti, meaning consciousness is ever wedded to the energy by which all of this is created.
It's a completely different concept.
I'm not sure. I'm not a Buddhist. But I just don't know. But I put it on the shelf. what we're dealing with here is the very traditional Vedantic understanding of what Maya is. And what's so fascinating is that Maya doesn't ever really cover the self. So are you realized? Yes, no?
I would probably say no.
Okay. But do you exist?
Yeah.
Are you a conscious being?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Your mind is saying, I'm not realized. But you know you exist. You know you're sentient, you're conscious. Have you ever ceased to exist? Whatever is going on, good, bad, or indifferent, do you know it? Yeah. So even if you have ignorance, I don't think I realized, still hasn't covered the self. Do you see that? I can sure think I am. I think I'm my body. That's like a person who's carrying this big clay pot. Why are you carrying a clay pot? I'm not carrying a clay pot. I am a clay pot. Leave me alone. Oh, you're not a clay pot. You've got it in your arms. Shut up. I'm a clay pot. Can you see the clay pot? Yes. How can you be a clay pot? Shut up. I'm a clay pot. Take a deep breath. Are you aware of the breath in your body? Do you have a subject-object relationship with the breath of the body? Scratch your nose. Can you feel the scratching of your nose? Are you not aware of it? Just breathe. Do you know when you gain weight, lose weight? Do you know when you're sick or when you're well? Are not these always objects of awareness? Be alone, I think I'm a pot. Such is the power of ignorance. It defies our direct experience. Your direct experience is you're not your body. Did that, any of that make sense? What's your name? Gautam. What's that? Pot. See, carrying a pot. I'm a pot. That's what the fool thinks. Next verse.
Sattvam rajastama iti chaisheva prakriti smrita eshaiva samsriti chanto asya param padam. Only this appearance from the pure being consciousness is regarded as prakriti or nature, constituted of the three energies or qualities: sattva, light, knowledge and harmony; rajas, agitation, passion and activity; and tamas, darkness, ignorance and inertia. Only this in the course of worldly life of a living being. Only this is the course of worldly life of a living being.
Read
It's
first.
further.
Go ahead, finish it, and then read the first sentence again, because I didn't quite catch it.
I'll start from the beginning. Only this appearance from the pure being consciousness is regarded as prakriti, or nature.
Only this appearance from the pure consciousness is considered prakriti. So nature, prakriti, the stuff of which everything is made, is that which appears to wave out of the self. Going on, I'm sorry.
It's regarded as prakriti, which is constituted of three energies: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Only this is the course of worldly life of a living being. Its furthest limit is the supreme abode or reality.
It's further what?
Furthest limit.
Yes. Okay. So in this world, tamas, rajas, and sattva, we can think it about the qualities of mind, but you can also think of it like this is a rock. It is tamasic. A tree is a little bit more rajas. You know, the water goes and the tree, leaves grow, but you know, it can't run when you want to chop it down. Lizard has a little more rajas. Gazelles have a lot of rajas. They can run. And there are beings who have sentience. All our animals, to some degree, have a little bit of sattva. I've been falling in love with elephants on YouTube. I think they have an emotional intelligence that's far superior to humans. They have some wonderfully sattvic qualities. Cetaceans, whales, and dolphins do too. But humans, we can think, we can reflect. So we have more sattva.
Can you remind us of the difference between rajas and tamas?
Tamas is inactivity, stillness, delusion, dullness, heroin. Rajas is activity, getting, acquiring, accomplishing. Essentially, all our suffering is in rajas. Ambition, competition, jealousy, angers, etc. Sattva is non-activity. The mind is still.
So would you say that there are different states that we can be in?
There are different states of the mind, yes. That's exactly it. The mind essentially cycles through those states. So we can say deep sleep is pure tamas. Your daily activity is largely rajasic. And if you're in meditation, it's more sattvic. It cycles through.
How is deep sleep tamas?
Because you're not much different than a rock. All that's left is a little bit of prana that keeps the body alive. What do you know about deep sleep?
Not much.
It's pure ignorance.
Yeah.
You can't even have the thought, oh, I don't know anything. You have to wait till you wake up. And then through memory, you go, oh, I must have slept soundly. I don't even remember changing positions. Antithetically, if there's a little rajas, oh, I tossed and turned for about an hour before I went to sleep. See? So from the standpoint of the mind, we think of deep sleep as pure tamas. But we can have a largely tamasic mind when I want to nap all day long, watch Netflix all day long, or eat at my problems, drink a whole lot. This is wanting to go unconscious, getting closer to oblivion. That make it clearer?
Yeah.
Very good question. Any other questions about this one out in Zoom land? Next verse.
Atrayetu trayah proktaha gunastepi tridha smritaha navadhaivam vibhakteyam avidya gunabhedatah. What have been mentioned here as the three gunas or qualities or energies, they are also regarded each in three ways. Thus, the spiritual ignorance is divided in 9 ways on account of difference in quality or characteristic.
So what these gunas do is they divide into, for want of a better term, mixed gunas. So we have tamas that has some rajas and some sattva. We have some rajas that has some tamas, some sattva. We have sattva that's got a little bit of tamas and rajas. So he's going to divide it up not just in 3 discrete mind states, but we mix them. And we're going to have 9. Basically, to keep it simple, oh God, am I in mixed rajas or am I in mixed tamas? Don't worry about it. Just understand that it's a gradation. It's not discrete. So you can get up in the morning and you can go, oh, I really don't feel like going to work today. Oh God, the dishes need to be done, but I really don't want to do them. You ever have mornings like that? But then you go, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it. So you make yourself get out of bed, you take a shower, you make your bed, you clean the house, you go to work. So that's predominantly tamasic, but you had some rajas in there. And maybe by midday, you've done very well at work. And you go, it's not such a bad day after all. Starting to get in the zone. You had a lot more sattva, but still a little bit of rajas, maybe a twinge, a bit of tamas. So, you know, it's not so cut and dry, is what I'm saying. Any thoughts on this?
I guess I'm just curious, does that breakdown, like, do people have different levels based off of their nature of
Yes.
these 3 things?
Yes.
Okay.
So what Swamiji went through as tamas, rajas, and sattva is very different than an axe murderer's tamas, rajas, and sattva.
Mhm.
You see? So it's kind of spiral.
But is that learned over time, or is that like how people are born?
Well, you're born with particular qualities and into a family with stuff like that, but nothing's static. You can move in more different directions and stuff like that. Your yoga will move you towards sattva. If you become a fallen yogi, this doesn't work. I think it's not worth it. I'm going to go back to Xanax and benzos. Those are the answers to all my problems, is just get loaded. Put your yoga on the shelf, tamas. Is that useful?
Yeah.
So karma is the hand we're dealt in life. Purushartha is the self-effort we employ to change things. Karma is not kismet, Swamiji used to say. It's not fate. I like to use the example, you get up, you walk out of your apartment, and there's dog poop there on the sidewalk. Somebody walked their dog and didn't clean it up. Karma. It doesn't mean leave it there. You don't want to step in the dog poop, guess what you should do? Clean it up. Purushartha. It's your self-effort. You get a crappy boss. Karma. What are you going to do about it? Well, you got choices. No choices. That's your purushartha, your self-effort. So our understanding of karma never implies passivity. it implies acceptance, not passivity. In the 12-step traditions, we have a prayer called the Serenity Prayer. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That resolves this karma, purushartha, and balance. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful prayer. It's a wonderful prayer. Okay, one more.
सात्विकस्यास्य भागस्य नागा विधाधर नमः नागा विधा नागा विद्याधरा तमः रजस्तु मुनय सिद्धाः सत्वं देवाहरादयः. Of the part which has the nature of sattva, nagas or the
Start
mythical
again, please, a little slower so I can hear. I'm having a hard time hearing, Ganesh. I'm sorry.
of the part which has the nature of sattva, nagas or the mythical semi-divine beings having a human face and serpent tail, inhabiting the netherworlds, and vidyadharas or a class of demigods constitute the tamas or darkness, ignorance, and inertia subdivision. The rajas subdivision is constituted by sages and the accomplished ones endowed with supernatural powers. The sattva subdivision is constituted by the gods like Hara or Shiva.
Okay, I'm not going to worry about this. We'll take this verse up again next week because this is all symbolic mysticism. And things like celestial beings and gods are dimensions of mind. So we'll dive into it a little more deeply next week. All right, we'll quit here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om. Thank you all.